Hey, Norm.
What's up, buddy?
Looks like we have Craig on the line as well.
Hey, Craig.
Norm, you're looking good. I love that logo. I should have went to the bank and got a big bank logo, but I got a face for radio, so I don't think you guys want to see my.
Oh, we're gonna pray for you. It's gonna be good. How you been holding up, brother?
Me?
Craig.
Yeah.
How you been holding up?
It's my 6th week at home. It's been nutty, Norm.
Yeah, I can believe it, bro. I can believe it. I can believe it.
A lot of support, though, and in what we've all done, and we're very proud of it. But it's been. We had a staff meeting this morning that we did on Zoom, and Phil Close, our president, was talking about how people that are working remotely are working more hours than they would if they were at the office, because obviously you don't have 5 times. I can attest to that. I mean, I've sometimes it's anywhere from 12 to 17.
Wow.
Through this, and, you're trying to do your normal sort of work. You just can't get to it, because emails are coming in, texts are coming in, phone calls are coming in on your cell phone or your landline, which we got the ability to do that remotely here as well. So
never a dull moment, huh?
Jay Kimbrough's here, and morning, Jay.
Morning.
Hey, Jay.
How's it going?
It's going, sir.
I hear you. I hear you.
Just talking about our workload,
Hey,
Jay.
Daniel.
Who else is Daniel?
Good morning, Wade Kinniger with Security Bank of Kansas City.
Good
Hey,
morning.
Wade, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Thanks again for joining us today. I know there's a quick turnaround, but we really appreciate you all and Country Club Bank helping us out with this. I think it'll be a good session. We have about 30 people registered. So I sent out kind of the objectives and kind of the speaker order. Are you all comfortable with that?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Okay, I'll start letting folks in. Hey, Norm, did I show you my my Royals background?
Yeah, I saw that one.
Might be more appropriate today.
Yeah, it would be. Do we have a mic on?
I don't think so. Mike Smallwood, are you on? Okay, not on yet.
Hello.
There's Mike. Hey, Mike.
Hello?
Hey, Mike, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, we can hear you too.
Well, that's either good or bad depending on what the what we're saying, right?
It's all good.
Good morning, Mr. Legislative Affairs Chair, Mr. Smallwood.
Oh boy.
Oh, I love the picture. One small step.
Oh, that's Buzz Aldrin there.
Oh, Buzz. Okay, that was
Yep.
me. I didn't recognize him in his suit.
Yeah, you couldn't see his face. That's how they want to dress us up now, right?
Exactly. Some people say I'm from Mars, so you know that's
I don't have a Martian picture.
darn it.
I have this one.
Ooh, I love that one. Rock Chalk. I got my KU jersey on this morning, but again, I told Daniel and Norm I've got a place for radio.
I have this one.
Boy, that looks good.
I also have this one.
Ooh, I love it.
I'm joining this
I
Zoom
thought you were
meeting.
fucking waving at us. I'm like, what the fuck?
No,
you doing?
I'm waving at the video.
Hey, Kate.
Hey, just got done working out.
Awesome.
Hey, Sean, Kent Nolan. How you doing? Well, not so good. I'll tell you, I put a request in for Sunday about 1 o'clock, gosh, 3 days ago or whenever it first started, and they came out today,
You need to mute.
and we didn't get.
I think somebody got that message, Daniel.
Oh, okay, yeah, because that was one that we put in, I think, on time. So I mean, we didn't get 106, but I was surprised we didn't get anything.
Can you hear me,
Yeah.
Daniel?
Yes, sir.
We just need to make sure we have everybody mute. I think some folks are carrying on conversations.
Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah. Everyone, if you all could please
Before,
mute
Cindy,
your
me and,
microphones.
Kimball,
We're going to get started in about 2 minutes.
Get Nolan, you need to mute. There you go.
Okay, we'll get started in about 2 minutes. So people are still trickling in. If everyone on the call could just please mute your mics. Appreciate it. Okay, I have 10:05 on my clock. Kate or Caitlin, if I could just ask you to monitor the wait list, I'll go ahead and make you all co-hosts to let people in once we get started. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. This is Daniel Silva, President and CEO of the KCK Chamber of Commerce. Happy Friday. I'm glad to have you all with us. Thanks again for continuing to participate. I say this on every webinar, but if you've not already done so, please follow us on social media. Also, be sure to check out our resource page on our website. We are posting past webinars there and links to resources as they come out. So a good place for you all to get information. And again, if you have any specific questions, feel free to contact myself or the staff. Again, want to say thank you to all of our great partners. Without their support, we would be unable to do the work that we're doing during this pandemic. Special shout out this morning to Country Club Bank and Security Bank, two great partners of ours. We were able to turn around this webinar in less than 24 hours. We were anticipating the next round of stimulus to be approved, which it has been, and we wanted to make sure to offer our members the opportunity to get the right information from the banking experts so that they can begin to prepare to apply if you haven't applied already, and also to get an update from folks in terms of what this round may look like or may not look like, what to expect, what to prepare for. So I'll be introducing the folks from the banks here shortly. And we'll also be hearing from two small business owners who have successfully applied for and received the PPP program. So we're going to hear their perspective as well in terms of how easy it was, how difficult it was, and how their process was. And then we're going to take questions from the group. So at this point, I'd like to introduce the gentleman from Security Bank. We have Mr. Wayne Kindler, Senior Vice President of Commercial Lending with Security Bank of Kansas City. And from Country Club Bank, we have Craig Gaffney, Regional President, and Jay Kimbrough, Senior Vice President with Country Club Bank. Gentlemen, really appreciate you all joining us today. We look forward to a good conversation. I think I'll just kick it off with asking you all, kind of give us a quick insight as to what round one looked like for you all and what you are expecting for round two. And Craig, why don't we go ahead and start off with you, and then Jay and Wayne, feel free to jump in.
Hey, appreciate it. So, well, first of all, good morning, everyone. It's great to have 30 of us that are online. So appreciate you all joining us. And quickly, I've got regional responsibilities for Wyandotte, Leavenworth, and Western Johnson County, and so Jay and I have worked with our group in our region to assist as many customers as we could throughout this process. And so, you know, if our compatriots from Security Bank that are on the line, I suspect they would say maybe the same things that Jay and I would say, that if anything's been constant on this program, it's been change and updated information, and it's been a it's just been game on every day. You know, in our case, we have a 4:30 conference call every day to kind of talk about what's going on and what we're hearing from the SBA, and you know, what experiences each of us are having. And so it's nobody on the line that aren't bankers aren't going to ever feel sorry for bankers hours, but as I said to some of the folks early on, that we had a staff meeting for our bank this morning that we did similar to how we're handling this call. You know, those of us who are working remotely are working more hours because obviously we're not in our cars headed to our respective places of work. And, you know, in my case, my home office is right next to where we sleep. And, you know, we're just thinking about these things all the time. And so, not asking anybody to get a violin out for us, but it's been so rewarding to help our customers that are going through some challenging times. And it's been a challenging experience, but also a rewarding one. And so, Jay, maybe you could kind of see what you think.
No, I agree. You know, it's this program. You know, as bankers, usually you're pretty familiar with the SBA programs, but obviously we're learning right along with all the small business owners, and it's been fluid. And you know, we've processed a lot of applications, and have been able to fortunately help a lot of small business.
Wade, do you want to chime in from the perspective of Security Bank?
Absolutely. You know, it's, you know, I agree with the comments of the prior two gentlemen. I mean, this has been kind of a situation where a lot of information from the United States government has been circulated to the banks. Some of it's clear, some of it's not. As far as setting up our process here at Security Bank, we've imposed what I would call a certain amount of MacGyverism. I mean, we've had to, you know, interpret best we can the procedures implemented by both the SBA and the Treasury. We kind of did the best we can to kind of dumb it down. We identified, obviously, we needed an application, and we have an Excel spreadsheet that we use and offer our customers to compute the loan amount, and then we get 941 information or Schedule Cs to support that. And we receive those, and we either process those internally or online. To get the processing done has not been difficult, absent the significant volume. You know, we only have so many people that are dealing with this, even though it's significant. Some of the issues that we have run into, and it's not so much with respect to the collection of documentation. Inputting it through the E-Trans system has sometimes, because of its significant usage, sometimes you get locked up, sometimes you have to start over. There's actually better times of the day to use it than others. But our goal, once we get an application, is to work it through the E-Trans system and get an SBA loan number. Once we get that, then we process the application very expediently through our loan administration department and generate a promissory note. Very simple. We email it out, get it signed, email back, and within 24 hours after we receive it, we're able to fund the loan and move on down the road. Obviously, I think with all banks, the biggest issue is dealing with the volume of applications. We got a significant amount processed prior to funding being exhausted on the first round. Second round, I think is going to be very interesting. Senate, the House has passed this. I'm not sure if Trump has signed this. Obviously, the fourth part of that puzzle is when the SBA is going to begin processing again. I think there's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of applications in the pipeline. My sense is that the money's going to go pretty quickly, and there's going to be people that are going to be small businesses that are going to be happy, and some small businesses that are going to be a little bit disappointed, since they are ready to roll for the second round and the money, basically got exhausted the second round relatively quickly. That's what I anticipate. But again, I like to think our bank is gone to great efforts to, make the process as accommodating to our customers as possible. It's, hardly a perfect wheel. We're going to be moving into this request for forgiveness round here, not too far down the road. Still waiting for additional guidance from the Treasury and the SBA. Maybe we'll get it, maybe we won't, but that'll be another piece of the puzzle that all banks will have to address, and I suspect that'll be an interesting process also.
Thank you, Wade. Appreciate that. Craig and Jay, now that the funding has been approved and anticipating Trump's signature, are you anticipating any changes or on the guidance? Do you feel like folks are going to have to prepare anything extra, or will it be similar to round one? And you may not know the answer to that, but I thought I'd throw it out there.
Sure. Daniel, we have not as far as a different sort of application process. We're assuming for now,
I'm looking to a Zoom meeting.
Please mute.
If I could have everyone mute their mic, please. Go ahead, Craig. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. At any rate,
Oh, yeah, Wayne up there. You want me to?
You want to try that again, Daniel, about muting?
Yeah, I went ahead and muted them.
Okay. All righty. So we have not been given any indication that the application is going to change. There was an updated application that was done in phase one. So we're, hopefully it's a similar sort of process, particularly given, as Wade mentioned earlier, a lot of folks have, are sending in applications or have already sent in applications. And so I think all the banks are hoping that the process doesn't change. I do want to say this, I think President Trump will sign today. And we got an update from the American Bankers Association, $320 billion program. I think the difference on the second phase is that a minimum of $30 billion of that 320 will be set aside for community development, financial institution, banks, and credit unions with less than $10 billion in assets. The first go around, they did not have that. So, we feel good as, banks like Security Bank and Country Club Bank, that we are community banks, and our focus is Kansas City, metropolitan Kansas City. And we think that that's good for community banks around the country. And and maybe just speak a little bit, and some banks may have different sort of requirements as far as what they require. And I can't remember whether I sent it to Daniel or not, but the Kansas Bankers Association provided a nice guidance, an Excel spreadsheet that a lot of our customers have utilized to kind of reconcile to what the legislation is. And so, Daniel, if any of our members need that, Jay or I can send that to you, and you can you can get them out. So you could just email that. The other side of it is, you know, we've got to understand your payroll. Some of you have payroll providers. You have plus the 941s that you file on a quarterly basis. So we're looking at that. You know, if you're incorporated, you know, your businesses should be providing to the bank that you work with your articles of incorporation and your bylaws. If you're a limited liability company, that would be your articles of organization and your operating agreement. We want to make sure they've got a copy of your driver's license. You know, in our case, you know, we've asked, you know, our customers, if we don't have them already, to provide us a copy of the last tax return that they filed. And Jay, am I missing something there? I'm trying to remember anything else that we might.
No, I think the only thing, Craig, I would add is just kind of something that Wade mentioned at the end of his comments. Is just about the verification process at the end of this that we're, you know, all waiting kind of guidance on, because obviously the forgiveness is a key component of this program. And I would just advise anyone who applies and has their application approved just to keep, you know, good records of how you use these funds, good payroll records. If you use them for rent payments or utilities, just keep good records.
Yeah, 75% of the program, guys, has to go to payroll on the forgiveness side. And Wade hit the nail on the head. None of us know what the forgiveness backside of it is. I think candidly, it has a lot of us in the banking side concerned as to what that looks like. And, you know, obviously a lot of our customers, a lot of the borrowers, you know, are asking questions about that as well. And so it, as Jay said, it's just imperative that your backup information as to what you use those funds for, you know, are critical in the, you know, in the debt forgiveness side.
Thank you, Craig. Appreciate that. Quick question. If I'm a small business owner and I did not apply for round one, you know, what are the immediate steps that I need to be taking today through Monday?
Here's what I would say, and Jay or Wade, you guys chip in for sure. You've got to, in our case, almost exclusively, we worked with customers. And so it is, Wade kind of mentioned, you know, that it was literally a fire drill to try to help even at that. And so if you've got to pick up the phone and contact your banker and make sure that you know, make sure that they know your application isn't in yet, that you know, you understand what their process is, because I think a lot of banks are, you know, on round two will almost exclusively work with those that are customers, because it was a tall task for us to get through what we did. But you know, in Jay's and my case, we were blessed to have a great team that surrounded us inside our region, and you know, the group that supported us on ultimately getting the loans uploaded into E-Tran and ultimately documented. We're working all hours of the night, working weekends. I think the only day we've had off has been Easter. So I'm highly recommending that if you've not started this process, get on it. As soon as this call hangs up, reach out to your bank, your banker that you work with, and that's probably the best advice I could give you. Jay or Wade, I don't know if you guys want to add something to that or not.
I don't have anything to add unless Wade does.
I'm trying to see if Wade is still with us. He may be muted. Hang tight. Wade, are you still with us?
Yes, I believe I was muted.
Okay.
Muted. Now I'm unmuted. But
No problem.
I would agree with the both reps from Country Club Bank. You know, if you still want to move forward with the process, contact your bank. Most banks are going to have the same documentation requirements. You'll need that application. You'll need, the related tax information, which is not significant. The worksheet that is what my experience has been pretty easy to complete. The hope would be that the bank can email that information out to you with any instructions. You print it off, complete it, email that back to the bank, then they can, begin their processing. But yeah, communicate with your bank, find out exactly, what they need. And again, it's not going to be significant. And once you receive that, obviously complete it as soon as possible. And completion of that information is not difficult. And get that back to the bank, preferably electronically, as soon as possible.
Thank you very much, Wade. At this point, we'd like to shift a little bit, and we'll come back to our banking experts here in a little bit, but did want to give the opportunity to two of our small business owners, chamber members, and board members. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Norm Smith, one of the principals for MPB, and then Mike Smallwood, who's the president of Smallwood Lock Supply. Gentlemen, and Norm, we'll start with you. Please restate your name, your company, your industry, and what your process was like securing PPP.
Basically, like Daniel said, my name's Norman Smith, and I'm with MPB Companies, and we're a security management firm. I will tell you, I was out on vacation when all this turmoil took place, came back to a small panic. Started looking at the SBA programs, the loan process. It was really tedious. It was very intimidating to actually ever have to ask for a loan. We've never really asked for money from a bank or anything else. We've always been self-sufficient for the most part until we grew. But the process of thinking about the SBA process was it was crazy. The process of the payroll protection plan was very simple, just like the gentleman from the bank have been talking about. I think Craig Gaffney hit it on the head when he said, get on it quick. Start that process now. We started our process on the 3rd of April, got approved on the 10th, and had money in the bank on the 13th. So it's really not a long, drawn-out, stressful process, but it is a little process. You put in a little work, but in the long run, it saves you. Versus us looking at 30 days of operating capital, we can hold our own, and hopefully until the industry get back to normal. Being in the security world, it's not a whole lot going on, especially when you deal with events and executive protection, because all the entertainers are shut down, all the venues and theaters and stuff are shut down. So getting that money was very key and very vital. But the key of it is jumping on it right out the gate. We know that this is coming online here in the next couple of days. Now is the time to start your process. So that way when the money does hit, then you're in that line and be able to get your funding like you really need if you need it.
Thank you, Norm. And as I understood it for our conversation yesterday, you worked with UMB Bank, correct?
We do. Our bank here is UMB. Get with your bank. If you got a relationship with your bank, that's cool. Start talking to your loan specialist there ASAP. If not, I'm pretty sure Country Club and Security Bank, which has my personal money, would love to help you out in that process. So, but the key thing is getting that process done now. Start gathering those documents, pulling what you need to pull. It's, like I said, there's not a lot of stuff that you have to go through. The spreadsheet was pretty simple to get through. The whole shebang. You fill it out, you send it back in. The bank take care of the rest. But it was a very speedy process. I was stressed out about how long it was going to take to actually, if we were going to be able to meet our payroll. Once the process started, and lo and behold, it did hit just before we had to pay our crew, which was pretty cool. So, life-saving.
Definitely, Norman. Thanks for keeping such a great attitude. Of course, your industry took a tremendous hit. So it's so great that you all were able to secure this funding.
And I think we're going to be out until our industry might suffer furthermore. We still don't know. So that's going to be the next question that I have along the lines of what happens if this thing draw out. Right now, pro sports are not back in action. Concert industry right now is talking going back in action in 2021. What do we do if this situation carries on? So hopefully our government can figure out something to help keep the small businesses alive, or folks like us in the small restaurant industries might have to shutter our doors.
Well, we hope that's not the case, Norm, for sure.
Amen. Amen.
Now I'd like to turn it over to Mike Smallwood. Mike, can you please intro yourself, full title, company and industry, and your experience with the process?
Yes, my name's Mike Smallwood. I'm president of Smallwood Lock and Supply. We're a 108-year-old company based here in Wyandotte County. We do security, door hardware, locks, keys, pretty much anything. We service a lot of industries that are essential, hospitals, utilities, governmental organizations, et cetera. So we've continued to be open, but at a lesser level than before. My experience with this is, as Norm had said, and that is to get on it and get on it fast. But you need to be organized to help your banker out. For those of you who don't have payroll service, it's going to be a little bit more complicated to add up and calculate the numbers. But essentially, what you'll need to come up with is of course, the average payroll for a month. And I believe the bankers can correct me if I'm wrong, but they let you do that using your 2019 numbers. So if you have a payroll processing firm, take your year-end reports or your quarterlies and go through and come up with an annual amount that way. The loan application was very easy to fill out relative to other loan applications that you might see, but you have to have the backup information. I think Craig had mentioned if you're a corporation, you need to have some things that you should have in your corporate file. And if you have all of that paperwork in an electronic form, that helps your bankers out a lot. And I would just guess, look, from their perspective, they're going to be more willing to help you if you're better prepared. As far as the numbers that go into what the loan is, when I looked at it for our company, it was our salary plus the medical insurance premium that we pay. That's considered part of your payroll. So make sure you get that number and add that in. And you have to reduce your premium by, of course, what portion your employees pay. So if you pay half, then you can only take half and roll that in. As I looked at this program, the intent was of the government, and of course we've all heard about the bumps along the way that people that have gotten money maybe that probably shouldn't have, but the intent was for the government to pick up your payroll in effect for 8 weeks, and also some of your rent and utilities, because that's eligible too, but you can only go up to 25% of the loan value for that. So, and you have to keep track of the information in very good detail so that you can get that loan forgiven. Because the last thing that a small business needs now with minimal or no revenue is a loan that has to be repaid. So if you track it and get all the documentation in line, you'll be able to get most of, if not all of the loan forgiven after 8 weeks. And I know the bankers are thrilled to have to go through that calculation, so help them out. Craig mentioned a spreadsheet. I found that very helpful in terms of organizing the information and what went into that salary calculation.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. For the bankers on the line, any additional thoughts to remarks from our small business owners?
Just a couple things, Daniel. I want to mention that, those of you hopefully most of you have at least somebody that helps you do your taxes, your financial statements, CPA or tax professional. But that is a key partner for you if you're not versed in some of these things that Mike and Norm have spoken to, or all of us on the banking side have. I do want to say this, and this is just my personal opinion. This is, we've had several CPAs that have helped our customers prepare these documents. They do have the ability to charge for that, but you as the business owner do not have to pay it. It comes back to the banks. Now, my opinion is that if if all of you are still in business, and your CPA and your CPA is charging for that, I'm not a big fan of that. I guess I've been, that's fine if they want to send it to the bank to pay. The good news is you guys don't have to pay. But I think if you're not in business, your CPA is not going to be in business. So I've been fortunate with the several CPAs that I had some communications with via email and or over the phone. None of them charged for their services because they had that very, very same feeling. The other thing I want to say that we had some of, without getting specific about even the industry, but a lot of folks were trying to time when they would get these funds, so as to when they would be back having their business open. The goal of this program is to keep your employees off of unemployment. And I actually had one of my clients, again, I won't mention the industry or obviously the name, but they said that if they got through this in satisfactory, they were going to give their employees a little bit of a bonus so that they would keep them off of unemployment. So that's the key. It's not, that's again, 75% of the program is for payroll. And I appreciate Norm wanting to give Country Club Bank. I don't know what Security Bank's position is on this, but we are laser focused on customers. It's just a challenge to, if I've got a customer over here and a non-customer over there on the other side, we have to take care of our customers. So our phase 2, we are almost without exception, just working with our customers, because we want to make darn sure that we get them through the pipeline to the best of our ability and get them approved and loan funds dispersed to them to help them. I mean, the other side of that is why it is a challenge to go to a bank that you don't currently do business with, is because the loan, in our case, our loan funds are dispersed into a special account, a control account or a separate checking account at the bank. And then when it comes time to do payroll and those sorts of things, it's kind of difficult, candidly, to work with the bank that you don't have your relationship with, and so that's why in our case we really we're kind of limiting phase 2 to just our bank customers is kind of what we're. Okay, up on that.
I think, just my final advice would be is, just reach out to your banker, that they can help provide you advice and guidance in putting together your packet. As Craig said, if you have a CPA that you work with, they're a valuable tool. And just when you do submit your packet, just try to have it as organized as possible and as complete as possible, because it'll help your bank be able to submit the application timely.
Daniel, just one other thought, and this is, again, I'm not going to mention it. I'm sure some of you have seen, there have been some banks that experienced some challenges on this, and I'm not saying either Country Club Bank or Security Bank gets an A on executing on this, because both banks, we're in uncharted waters related to this program, just as all of you are. And but I know there's some banks around the countries that have had a challenge, and this is just my 30-second commercial for working with a community bank like Security Bank or Country Club Bank, UMB certainly. That where your banker, you pick up the phone and you can call them, text them, send them an email, and they're going to be responsive. And if you're not getting that kind of service right now, thank God all of you are in business after that. But I suspect that our friends at Security Bank, or certainly us at Country Club Bank, if we can help you, post this event, we'll make every effort to provide you some support. I did send to Daniel the Excel spreadsheet at the Kansas Bankers Association. So if you want that form, Daniel can email it to you, and I think it'll be a help.
Thanks, Craig. We'll get that out after the call. Wade, do you have any additional comments before we jump into the
Well,
Q&A?
I would just reiterate that I think the businesses that had the good fortune, I think, to work with a community bank like Security Bank, Country Bank, and there's Country Club Bank and several other banks within the Kansas City metropolitan area. Those are the customers I believe are going to be assisted more quickly due to their current relationships with the bank. And as far as moving forward, anybody that hasn't pursued the process at this time, you know, they would want to obviously move forward with their current bank. And if it's a community bank, my sense of things is it's going to be a much smoother process.
Thank you. At this point, we'd like to open up the forum. I'm going to unmute everyone.
To see how we can pay that.
Right, you can pay it online.
Maybe not everyone.
But they were saying I need the last four
for social, yeah.
Oh, okay, that didn't work too well. If you have a question, you know, go ahead and chime in and unmute yourself. If you're not able to unmute yourself, drop me a comment in the chat box and I'll do it. Sounds like some folks are on another call. Are there any questions?
Daniel, it looked like there were some in the chat box.
Yeah, that one got answered regarding the portal for Security Bank. So that was answered. Any other questions for folks on the call? And I have a few if you all don't have any.
I have one on nonprofits. Have either of the banks worked with nonprofits over 500 employees and used the alternative size or net worth and income method for eligibility, if that sounds familiar to either of them?
We asked that question again, Daniel. I didn't understand.
The question was around nonprofits regarding to those that have 500 employees or more. And what was the other piece of that, sir?
There's a provision in SBA loan guidance where if you have an alternative method, if you have less than 15 million of net worth and your average net income the last 2 years was under 5 million, that small businesses you know, can meet the eligibility that way. It's not clear, like a lot of the guidance, whether that can be applied to nonprofits alternatively. I just wondered if either bank had any experience with processing an application the last couple of weeks.
Well, again, this is Craig Gaffney. You know, we did process a number of not-for-profits, and you know and I'm a board member for the one in Kansas City, and you know I am disappointed that you know obviously the Y is under significant stress at this time, and you know I was really hopeful in the second phase that it might give the opportunity for you know great metropolitan Kansas City organizations like that do have over 500 employees, that they would be permitted to apply in this program. I haven't noticed that when I kind of had read the information that was sent out last night by the American Bankers Association. I unfortunately do not see that. I'm not aware now, Jay or Wade, if either one of you, but I'm not aware of any sort of revenue or income sort of requirement. It was, I mean, I think the number I've focused on is 500 or less employees. So if you guys have some different information than what I've got, you know, Jay or Wade, let the folks know that are on this call.
I only processed. Go ahead, Wade.
I don't have any additional information. I mean, this program, PPP program, is specifically, you know, employee headcount related. I think the other, when you're talking about net worth, when you're talking about income, I think you're talking other 7A guidelines that are not applicable to this particular program. And yeah, it's unfortunate, you know, if you're dealing with somebody like the Y because they have over 500 employees, you know, irrespective of their income or net worth, you know, that head count, you know, kind of makes it very difficult to work them into the PPP program. But I'm not aware of anything related to the PPP program where a applicant is disqualified based upon income or net worth.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any other questions from the
That they
floor?
gonna mail it on the 24th.
Okay, I have a couple questions. The one around the 30 billion that will be set aside for community banks. Now, is that a different process for you all? Do you have to apply for that, or are dollars just set aside for you guys individually?
Daniel, I don't think there's any sort of application process related to that. I think I'm gonna have the wrong number, but I think there's some 7,000 banks around the country, and you know, I don't know how, candidly, I don't know how the Treasury Department or the SBA is tracking that.
Sure.
You know, at least they're making an effort to do it, and so we're hopeful. You know, I think we kind of, Jay and I had a little bit of conversation before we got on the call today that you know, these are SBA loans, they're government loans, so I think we'll probably see some stuff down the road as to what level this bank or that bank participated, and you know, obviously some of the larger companies, I guess, you know,
You guys both on the phone? What's going on?
I guess, guys.
Go ahead, Craig. Sorry.
At any rate, I think the you know, we'll see some companies' names, I'm sure, that are published that got you know, got these loans. I don't know how many on the line that ultimately end up with those. That will be the case, but you know, they are government loans, so that, you know, that means I think in a lot of respects that, you know, some of this stuff could go public, but you know, and that's not to scare any of you. I mean, the bottom line is we need you to stay in business and to employ folks as long as you can. And I'm like Norm, you know, is this 8-week time period that we got going to be enough to, you know, to get all of you through? And you know, unfortunately, I think in some cases, you know, it's probably not going to be, but you know, we all have to work together to make every effort, and just home in what way, you know, Wade said earlier that I think that community banks in Kansas City, I think, are working hard to make sure all of you guys are still in business in a month or two from now.
Wade or Jay, any additional comments on that piece?
No additional comments.
Okay. Gentlemen, and again, I'd like to just share some feedback, you know, with some of the folks that we've been talking to. And again, 57% of our membership is comprised of business owners with 25 or less employees. And I think part of the frustration that we've heard from the 25 or less employee group, and even those that have 5 or less, is, you know, that they really feel left out, you know, and competing against a bigger business that has 500 employees and still designated as a small business or big revenues. They kind of just seems a little bleak for them. I'm really thinking about our little guys, our small and pop shops, you know, and all our different corridors, you know. And so I know that there's no way that you all can control that, but I think we're trying as hard as we can to connect them and get them the right information, because that is a frustration, I believe, from our, and I'm going to call them micro businesses, from our micro business community in Wyandotte County, that I think there's a feeling that they just cannot tap into this. You know, and as much as we can, we need to encourage those folks to follow through with applying for this program.
You know, Daniel, this is Jay. I mean, I understand there's a lot of frustration out there, and I think there's a lot of stuff in the news about the program that maybe small businesses haven't been helped. But I would just want to encourage everyone to apply.
Yes.
This is an opportunity. You know, here at Country Club Bank, I think our average application that we processed was about 222,000. So, you know, we had obviously some larger ones than that, but I think that shows that, you know, it is the 25 employee businesses, you know, that was kind of the bread and butter that were coming through this program.
That's great. Thank you for that, Jay. Appreciate that.
Hey, Daniel, I also want to add, just like they said, guys, the main thing is just getting with the program quick. I too was worried about some of the fallout that had happened with the last payroll, but I was glad that ours got through. As far as the last run of money that came out, I was glad that our application made it through the process and we were able to get that funding, because that was my main concern. That's been a lot of my frustration over the last couple of weeks, just watching, people like Ruth Chris, and who else was Ruth Chris, Potbelly, and Shake Shack. But at least Ruth Chris and Shake Shack gave their money back, so I could appreciate that. So it's at least $30 million coming back into the fund. But at the same time, as a small business like we are, that was one of those things that I was really, really worried about. So don't get discouraged by that, guys. If you're out there, just mainly jump on it now, and try and make sure that your application's in the process while they process it. That's the key thing. Get the jump on it now.
Thank you, Norm. Appreciate it. Any other questions from the floor? Okay, gentlemen, Craig, Wade, Jay, if you have any closing comments, feel free to add them now before we adjourn.
Go ahead. No, Jay may be muted. Wade, you got anything you want to close with today?
I guess, I would just reiterate, I think, the money's going to be, the second round is going to come available soon. As far as how long it's going to last, probably not too long. And so if one hasn't processed or got their application materials into their bank, I would obviously continue to recommend that they do that as soon as possible.
Thank you, Wade. Jay?
No, I agree with Wade. Just encourage everyone to get their application in as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. And I'll say this, Daniel, that as you were talking about the smaller businesses, I would venture to say, and I can't speak totally for Security Bank, but given they are, like us, principally Kansas City metropolitan focus, most of our businesses are small business. We're not at Country Club Bank, and I don't know if Security Bank has any Fortune 500 companies on their customer list, but I know for sure we don't. We're a family-owned community bank, and that's in many cases who our customers are, and if small businesses are not successful in Greater Kansas City, neither is Country Club Bank or Security Bank.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And then my last remarks that I'll add is just, again, I want to thank Country Club Bank and Security Bank for joining us today. As you know, these folks are extremely busy trying to process loans and get people set up. So gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time to inform our members today. We really appreciate it. Keep up the great work, and it's so good to hear that you all are really focusing in on small businesses. So thank you very much. This adjourns our call. We will be sending out that spreadsheet via email. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you.